It was a cremation anyway, but I just changed there with I could have used that word. Just said it right decision.
Yeah, that's what the guy had. I know.
So, yeah. See the slide.
What's that? Yeah, verifies.
What else is there, right? Yeah.
So that was so funny.
Good evening. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Max Owens. And please remain standing for the invocation by the Reverend David McMurray, the First Baptist Church of Blackwood, New Jersey.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, Lord, I ask your blessing on this meeting, these leaders, this town, not because we are deserving, but because we are dependent on God. So, we're in the throes of summer. Everyone's celebrating graduations and time off and having some fun. And so I'm asking you to keep us safe, that we wouldn't get irresponsible in all of our fun seeking in this great weather. So keep us safe, be with us, lead us, guide us. God, remind us of our dependency upon you. Prompt us in our thinking and lead us in a way that would be good for the greater group, and that we exist to serve one another. Encourage us, please, God. Lead us in your ways. In Jesus' name, amen.
This regular meeting of the Township Council is being held in accordance with the schedule of the meetings of the Township Council, adopted by the Township Council, which schedule designated the time, date, and place of this meeting. Adequate public notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. We are using an electronic amplifying recording device in order to obtain a clear and audible record. And we request all those wishing to speak be recognized and state your name and address directly to the microphone. The recording device will be solely utilized by the Township Clerk's Office for the preparation of minutes and shall be official record of the Township Council meeting. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Hutchison?
Present.
Mr. Owens?
Present.
Mrs. Stubbs? Present. Mrs. Winters?
She's on vacation.
Mr. Mignon?
Here.
Mrs. Strada? Here. Mr. Mercado?
Present.
Mr. Barlamere?
Here.
Mr. Cardis?
Here.
Mr. Lechner? Deputy Chief Harkins?
Here.
Mr. Chadwell?
We'll now have our first public portion. This is for agenda items only. Anyone wishing to speak, please raise your hand. Mr. Paladoro.
Good evening, Council. Ray Paladoro from the Historic Village of Ariel. Two quick points, maybe requests, if you will, and then I'll yield the balance of my time. Are you going to have a separate hearing again for the new and amended budget?
No, it's not required.
Then I would ask that you consider maybe waiving some of the time for the agenda portion of the public portion, so that if the discussion happens to go long, you use your judgment in maybe extending that time.
I think we have ample enough time to address any concerns with the public portion.
Will you consider, if it goes on and it's constructive, that you'll do so?
I'll take it under consideration.
I thought you might, and I would ask that all council members please have your microphones in a position where we can hear you in the rear. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing Ms. Coyne?
East Point, Shoes Landing Road. Good evening. I was wondering if there's a reason why the full amount of money that is received in tax abatements wouldn't be used to offset the budget.
The full amount.
Yes, because I see that it went up $100,000 from what it was previously. So I'm assuming tax abatements are pretty much set. I mean, they're built, right?
Yes. Mr. Carter?
So the answer to that is we don't necessarily bill the full amount because whatever we receive in and above what we anticipate in the budget, I said bill, we anticipate what you're looking at, that's anticipating that revenue line item. And you notice that we are changing that now. So that's based on the figures that were provided to us from the tax assessor, Mr. Palumbo. And so typically we don't go up to the maximum. We stay a little bit under that. Anything that we collect above that goes to surplus and will be available for next year.
So in other words, you were going to bill $2 million and you put in $1,900 in the budget, potentially to put $100,000 in surplus.
That's correct.
Okay, so how much money do we have to keep in surplus in order to have an A+ bond rating?
I wouldn't know what that answer would be, to be honest with you. That's based on what the rating agencies would determine.
Well, then how do you know how much money to keep in surplus?
You don't have to keep anything in surplus, technically. I mean, it's
All right, well, you said previously we had to keep money in surplus in order to get
good
the
to
bond
have
rating.
money in surplus if you can afford to do that, but it's not absolutely necessary. There's no,
So if we didn't have money in surplus, we could still have an A+ bond rating?
yes, you can.
So-
Correct me if I'm wrong, I think sometimes the Department of Community Affairs sees you with zero surplus. They would question what happens in an emergency. They would question why you're doing those.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a catch-22 because if they see that you're maintaining too high a balance of surplus, they're going to question why you're not applying that to the budget. And vice versa, the rating agencies like to see that you maintain some fund balance, or that you have, actually, they like to see you raising taxes, to be honest with you.
So where are the guidelines that control how much money?
There are no guidelines.
So you could keep as much as you want or as little as you want?
That is absolutely correct.
All right, so is there a reason that you can state why we keep $3,500,000 in surplus?
If I can what?
The reason you can state, you could tell us as to why we keep $3,500,000 in surplus?
We don't have $3,500,000 in surplus. We've anticipated in this budget $3,500,000.
What's the difference between anticipate and having?
If you have it, and you're going to maintain it, just like you would with your savings account in your personal bank, that's one thing. We're actually spending it. So in your personal situation, you'd be taking that money and applying it towards paying your bills, your mortgage or whatever. In this case, we're applying it to this budget to offset the amount that we raised by taxes. The reason that $3.5 million is being used, every year it gets used, whatever that balance is. We've used as high as $4 or $5 million when we've had it. We've used as low as $3 million when that's been the case. But this
So,
is being applied, so it's not money sitting aside someplace. It's being spent, it's being used in this budget.
okay, I thought the surplus got carried over to the following year. I thought I heard that recently, that the surplus from last year was carried
Every year
forward.
you determine what the surplus is as of 12 midnight on 12/31 of that year. And so whatever those monies are that are available, they show up when the CFO does the AFS, the annual financial statement unaudited. She calculates what available balances are for surplus. We then use that data to complete our budget. And so that's how we do the revenue side of the budget, because once she does the AFS unaudited, that determines how much money is available to apply in revenues.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand, but thank you for the answer.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Heimball?
Good evening, Pete Highball, Morningstar Court. Related to the budget amendments, the tax abatements, the number that was just mentioned, the tax abatement that we amended the budget to recognize originally recognizing 1.9 million in tax abatement revenue. We bumped it up to $2 million with the amendment. Just to be, that's a number we know, right? We can calculate right to the penny ahead of time. I mean, we have abatements that have been granted that are out there. We know what the assessed value and things like that of those properties are, and we know the tax rates and all that. We can calculate right to the penny nearly what we'll be receiving in tax abatement revenue during a fiscal year, right?
In theory, yes. We're going to bill that though ourselves.
Yeah.
And those bills come out from Mrs. Herrick, the CFO. It is conceivable though that someone may not pay that amount that they're supposed to pay, in which case that revenue line item, if we anticipated it to the full amount, would come up short.
I read that you have a good track in response to the budget examiner in Trenton that I saw those exchange communications. That we collect 100%. We have a record of collecting 100% of those tax abatement tax billings.
I don't know that for a fact, and every single year that we bill,
Yeah.
we collected everything we bill.
And
Sometimes I believe it's come after the year is closed. Now, at that point, the assessor has the choice of getting rid of the abatement and putting it right to a rateable. I don't know of any case where he's done that.
So if we were to make a pure calculation of what tax abatement revenue was scheduled to be billed, what is that number? Do you know?
I don't have that sheet in front of me.
It's over 2 million.
Yeah, had you requested it earlier when you sent your other
Yeah,
email.
I'm just asking. It's something over 2 million.
I don't know, but
Yeah.
again, I look at it from the perspective that there's flexibility in how much you're going to anticipate, just the same as any of your other revenue line items. Your court fines, you may not go to the maximum amount. Your construction fees, you may not go to the maximum amount. You determine, when you look at those numbers in the AFS statement, whether or not you'll go to the full amount or you'll try to stay below that. In our case, I prefer to stay below it if I can, because we may not realize that amount in the following year.
But you were comfortable raising it
There is no
$100,000.
line with regard to anticipation of revenues. It is subjective,
Right.
and it does vary depending on what you want to anticipate.
Okay, another amended budget item, the employee group insurance.
Yeah.
So that was reduced significantly by $450,000.
That's correct.
Are we under budgeted now after this reduction?
I don't know, because we still have half of the year to go. We're self-funded, so, we do have a half a year under our belt of claims, so we did feel that we had some flexibility there, that we couldn't reduce that line item at this point, and that's only because we're self-funded.
Yeah.
Had we been fully insured, that would have been impossible.
So at the end of a budget year, when we compare what was budgeted, when the budget was produced like this, and then we looked at the actual expenditures at the end of the year, do we typically have unexpended balance in this line item, in this group insurance line item? Typically, I can look at that.
As you're aware, by year end, there are 2 transfer resolutions that are completed. Both, I believe, in the month of December, one possibly at the end of November, and one in December. So that is mandatory because the state of New Jersey will not allow you to have an over expenditure of any line item. If you have an over expenditure, you would have to raise it as a deferred charge in the following year.
I guess I asked the question wrong. Do we typically do a budget transfer out of this line item, budget line item
We'd have
account.
to look at historically.
You don't know that?
I don't
I'd have to
that
look at it. Okay.
information in front of me.
Okay.
Possible.
The Nike-based property, I guess that was kind of what drove this whole amendment, budget amendment in the first place.
It did.
That the state didn't allow you to recognize the revenue for the sale of that property. Where are we in danger of not closing on that property?
Now they have to meet with the planning and zoning boards.
There's some,
They have.
Something holding that up?
$100,000 non-refundable deposit.
Mhm.
But they have their date, Mr. Lechner.
I've had meetings, it's moving forward, and I do believe that we'll close on this before December 31st. There is a chance, though, that we might not, and I think that's what we're waiting on the state's decision to say, hey, listen, it's fine with 100,000, but the other 900,000, no.
okay. Back with, on the surplus, you calling it this number that was being explained, called anticipated surplus.
Yes.
But that's a 12/31/2018 balance referring to, right? This surplus balance that we're deciding to take into revenue, 3.5 million of. That's a number, that's a figure that was in place as of 12/31/2018, correct?
Yes.
So it's not anticipated anymore. I mean, we're in June here. I mean, you call it anticipated, but we're in June, so there's.
You finished with a pot of money, let's call it 3.8 or 3.7 million. We initially allocated of that pot, 3,150,000. We then adjusted it to 3,500,000. It's being applied to this budget, so it's not.
As a beginning balance of surplus and a revenue source for the 2019 budget. It's
Absolutely.
nothing anticipated. I mean, I guess what's confusing everyone, you calling it anticipated, but it's 12/31/2018. We're talking about when these balances were
Right,
calculated.
everything you see in the budget, and the revenue side, that appears to offset the expenses is an anticipated revenue line item. That's what the state calls it in the budget. The amount anticipated.
Okay, so they call it that, but the surplus is as of 12/31/2018. So the anticipated is a misnomer in this example. It's a balance that we went into this budget year with.
We're budgeting. If that makes.
Well, we know that. It's 12/31. It's June now. There's no budget.
Right, you know that we're budgeting, you know that it's being adjusted, it's being increased, it's being applied against the amount to be raised in this budget.
Yeah, the revenue side, but that ending balance, like you said, was 3.7 million or something like that. That's a balance as of 12/31/2018. 2018.
Correct.
And you're deciding in the budget to take most of that
Yes.
and apply it as revenue. So it's nothing anticipating anymore. We're
It's
in
a
June.
term.
Yeah, so it's a misnomer. In this case,
Anticipating it in this.
yeah, so in this, so I think that's part of the confusion.
Forget anticipate.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. Forget
We're
anticipate.
budgeting.
Yes.
We're budgeting a revenue line.
Yeah.
That's what.
So if you had to project, what do you think we're going to end this year as a surplus? I mean, you must have done some rough projections of that, so you can plan future budgets or plan expenditures.
At least expect, I'm going to say anticipate,
Yeah.
I would expect that we will be somewhere around 3.5 million and higher.
Even after this $900,000
Yes.
reduction in budget.
Yeah, because when that 900,000 comes in from the sale of the land, that's going to probably go to surplus. So there's a one-time revenue that's going to come in and increase that surplus balance.
Right, so, okay, so all this was just shuffling numbers around, but it's troubling as a resident when I can look at a number like this employee group insurance, and you can just stroke the pen and take out 450,000. That tells, you know what that tells me and someone who's paying attention? That you over budgeted and overtaxed us in the original budget by 450,000.
They say that, I disagree with you.
Yeah, I know you do, but you just chopped it off like it never should have been there in the first place.
Well, I'll tell you, when we put the budget together in the
Yeah.
beginning of the year, there are a lot of guesstimating when you're self-insured.
Sure.
We don't know what the claims are gonna look like.
So a key would be, do we routinely every year do a budget transfer in some of these benefit
I will
accounts?
tell you this, when I sit with the broker to review the recommendations to budget, the amount of money that they would like to see us budget, I'm generally much lower than what they're asking me to budget.
And with that, does anyone else have any other comments? Mr. Sweet? And we end up with Mr. Polidori.
Evening, Council. Sam Sweet from Ariel. Just a follow-up with, you said you meet with a broker about budgeting and they want a budget. Could you explain that, delve into that a little more? I don't understand.
Yeah, we're self-insured. The township has a broker of record. In this instance, it's Connor Strong. And I meet with representatives of Connor Strong. They show us all of the different options that we have available, not only staying self-insured, looking also at the HIP plan, looking at the state health benefits plan, looking at fully insured plans, and then based on that meeting, those meetings, because it might be 1 or 2 meetings, maybe 3, we make a decision of where we're going to go. And that's generally towards the year end, after November 1st. And so based on that, I know what direction we're going and basically how much money they're requesting that we budget. Because we're staying self-insured because we're saving money.
But I guess to follow up is, when the money to budget for that portion, or are you talking all numbers?
No, I'm talking about the self-funded pool because.
The self-funded pool, okay.
The excess insurance has a specific amount of money that we're paying for that. And there are some fees in there that are specifically, for example, for express scripts and things like that. We know those fees. What we don't know is we don't know the claims activity. We don't know the volume of the claims. And there's questions about the dollar amount that we should budget to cover those claims.
Okay, and that's just with the insurance. That's why I was confused.
Right.
Right, they're not putting input into budgeting for trees or landscaping or anything. It's just the insurance portion, which went down 450,000 in this new budget.
That's correct.
Okay, just trying to understand it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Polidoro?
Good evening again. Ray Polidoro from Ariel. And listening to the conversations that were going on and questions and answers that had been responded to. The one-time influx of money coming to the town for the Nike-based sale. Right now, we're anticipating after this date about 900,000. Does that sound correct?
Yes.
Okay. In the many years that I've been coming to these council meetings, long before some of you were on this council, I have always heard of an influx of money coming our way. Sometimes it looks like good government. I have never once heard this body or the administration ever apply that money or consider applying that money towards a tax decrease. It's always got somewhere to go. It's always got something to get spent on. But I never, ever, ever, ever heard you guys say that it could be applied towards relief for the taxpayers of this town. By chance, would that be something you would consider next year?
It does get applied to tax relief. You're asking for a tax decrease.
Correct.
We do not know. It's a huge puzzle, the budget, until we get the AFS statement done and know where we stand with all of the money. There is no way that anybody can make a decision based on your presentation and saying that this will be committed to reduce the levy, because you may not be able to do that.
But yet you're very good at raising taxes in anticipation of new things to come. You're always good at raising them. You can't see the future for reduction in taxes. I just never heard you say it. On to the next subject. I believe I heard you say that $450,000 was made up of that $900,000. Where else did you procure the additional $450,000?
It was an adjustment of $100,000 to an additional budgeting of revenue for the tax abatements. It was an additional $350,000 in surplus that was budgeted, and it was a reduction in the employee group insurance of $450,000.
Okay,
That all totaled is $900,000.
all right. In that $450,000 that you, and again, I'm glad to see you finally lose the word anticipation. I'm sure it'll make a comeback though. So in that $450,000 that we're utilizing to get where you want to today, do you see that being a need or a shortfall for next year where you're going to have to make that up?
No, I don't believe there'll be a shortfall.
Is that something you say with somewhat certainty?
I feel confident that we'll be okay.
Okay,
I mean, we're talking about a $67 million budget.
okay.
We're talking about $450,000. I would think we'll be okay.
All right. I'm not a numbers guy. You guys, you and Sam, and a bunch of guys are all above my head. I keep things simple because that's what I know, simple. So you were able to find $900,000 to square the budget out. And I wasn't quite sure that I was confident in the answer that you gave to Mr. Heimball, where how do you find that money outside of the $450 that the employees have sacrificed? You found another $450. How do you distinguish the difference between having something there that you can say, oops, let me grab that because we need this, and the overtaxing of the residents?
What's the overtaxing?
If you got that much money on hand,
I mean, it sounded like a snide comment. I don't understand why you finish off with that.
it's
So Mr. Highball is very aware of the amount of fund balance that we had available to us through his review of the annual financial statements on auditing.
Mhm.
So we knew that we had a balance of monies in that surplus that we could budget in this as a revenue. So there it was, and we were able to take that to offset the loss of the $900,000 that the state would not allow us to anticipate.
okay. And again, you guys are the numbers guys. I was trying to keep it simple. To some people that are watching, keep it simple. And the difference of, I've got $900,000 to make up. Besides again the sacrifice that the employees made, I still found $450,000.
Yeah, these are three items that have been adjusted. I think it's been pretty well explained tonight.
Okay. Appreciate the answers. Thanks.
Thank you. That will close the public portion. Bid report.
Public Works 19-03, 2019 weight goods truck with plow. Public Works 19-04, 2019 3-yard dump trucks with plow and spreader. Public Works 19-05, 2019 7-yard dump truck with plow and spreader. Public Works 19-06, new chassis with stand-up right-hand drive, 37-yard recycling pile.
I entertain a motion to accept the bid report.
So moved. Second.
On the question, roll call please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs? Yes. Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes. Next is the ordinance of first reading. There will not be a public hearing. I'll be saved for the second reading. Ordinance 0-19-10, ordinance amending chapter 72 of the Code of the Township of Gloucester entitled Streets and Sidewalks. Mr. Chadwell, can you add, this is basically require engineering inspections when there's opening and closures of streets and sidewalks. That's about it, okay. All right. I was looking for some engineering verbiage, but that's okay. All right. With that, I entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Thank you. On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs? Yes. Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes. Next is ordinance 0-19-11, ordinance of the Township Council, ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, State of New Jersey, to replace Chapter 5 of the Code of the Township of Gloucester entitled Personnel Policy and Procedures. This allows the code to be known as Chapter 5, where it's being reevaluated and redrafted to reflect current statutes and laws enacted since its inception. I entertain a motion.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mrs. Strata?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Resolution 154, resolution to amend the 2019 budget of the Township of Gloucester County, of Camden, State of New Jersey. Whereas the local municipal budget for the year 2019 was approved on the 22nd day of April 2019, and whereas the public hearing on said budget has been held as advertised, and now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Gloucester County, of Camden, that the following amendments to the approved budget of 2019 be made. General revenues. Number 1, surplus anticipated $3,150,000 to $3,500,000. Total surplus anticipated from $3,150,000 to $3,500,000. 3, miscellaneous revenues, Section A, special items of general revenue anticipated with prior written consent of the Director of Local Government Services. Other special items, tax abatement in lieu of billing from $1,900,000 to $2 million. Total Section A, local revenue, sheet 4A, $4,255,650 to $4,355,650. 3, miscellaneous revenues, Section G, special items of general revenue anticipated with prior written consent of the Director of Local Government Services. Other special items, sale of land, $1 million from $1 million to $100,000. Total Section G, special items of general revenue anticipated with prior written consent of the Director of Local Government Services. Other special items, sheet 10A, from $1,996,492.50 to $1,096,492.50. Summary of revenue, sheet 11. Number 1, surplus anticipated, sheet 4. Number 1, $3,150,000 to $3,500,000. 3, miscellaneous revenues, total Section A, local revenues, from $4,255,650 to $4,355,650. Total Section G, special items of general revenue anticipated with prior written consent of the Director of Local Government Services. Other special items, total from $1,996,492.50 to $1,096,492.50. Total miscellaneous revenues from $13,190,348.59 to $12,309,348.59. 5, subtotal general revenues, items 1, 2, 3, and 4, from $16,459,348.59 to $16,009,348.59. Number 7, total general revenues from $64,288,627.63 to $63,838,627.63. General appropriations, A, operations within caps, insurance, employee group insurance, sheet 15A, from $7,945,000 to $7,495,000. Total operations, items 8A within caps, sheet 17A, from $47,407,137 to $46,957,137. Total operations including contingent within caps, sheet 17A, $47,407,137 to $46,957,137. Detail other expenses including contingent, $21,642,470 to $20,192,470. $21,192,470. H1, total general appropriations for municipal purposes within caps, sheet 19, $54,549,637. So $54,099,637. L, subtotal general appropriations, items H1 and O, sheet 29, $63,446,136.59 to $62,996,136.59. 9, total general appropriations from $64,288,627.63 to $63,838,627.63. Summary appropriation, sheet 30, H1, total general appropriations for municipal purposes within caps, $54,549,637 to $54,099,637. Total general appropriations from $64,288,627.63 to $63,838,627.63. Be it further resolved that 2 certified copies of this resolution be filed forthwith in the Office of the Director of Local Government Services for certification of the local municipal budget. So amended. This hereby certified that this is a true copy of amended budget adopted by the Township Council on the 24th of June, 2019.
I entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison,
Yes.
Mr. Owens,
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs, Mr. Mignon,
Yes.
Mrs. Strato,
Yes.
Mr. Mercado.
Yes.
Resolution 155, resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, State of New Jersey, adopting the 2019 calendar year budget.
I entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison,
Yes.
Mr. Owens,
Yes, and I want to thank Mr. Cardis and the administration for putting together this budget that will keep supporting our residents and the employees of town for all the services they want from us. I appreciate it.
Mrs. Stubbs, Mr. Mignon,
Yes.
Mrs. Strato,
Yes.
Mr. Mercado.
Yes.
Resolution 190.
Oh, you can keep reading if you like.
Can't say that.
Next, we have our resolution, our consent agenda. Any council member would like to remove any of the items on the consent agenda, please speak up. Hearing none, I entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison,
Yes.
Mr. Owens,
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs, Mr. Mignon,
Yes.
Mrs. Strato,
Yes.
Mr. Mercado.
Yes. We did not receive any GTE Gov access emails. Oh, sorry, we have a resolution. We have a walk-on as a request is made. It's a resolution of the township. It's authorizing the acceptance of a Fuji police bicycle equipped with a 29-inch electric geo-orbital wheel for use by the Gloucester Township Police Department. Its lead is a nationwide nonprofit. It replaced their, and they are donating this bicycle to the Gloucester Township Police Department. So, this is resolution 1906-207. So, resolution Township Council authorizing the acceptance of a Fuji police bicycle equipped with a 29-inch electric geo-orbital wheel for use by the Gloucester Township Police Department. I entertain a motion to accept. Resolution to accept. Thank you.
I'll second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison,
Yes.
Mr. Owens,
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs, Mr. Mignon,
Yes.
Mrs. Strato,
Yes.
Mr. Mercado.
Yes, once again, we did not receive any GTE Gov access emails. We'll now go to our public portion. Anyone wishing to speak on any item, please raise your hand. Mr. Palladoro.
Good evening, Council. Ray Polidoro from Ariel.
Good evening once again.
I will be brief. I'd like to take an opportunity to welcome back Mrs. Stubbs. Glad to see that you're well and look forward to seeing you at some more council meetings. Welcome back. I also would like to thank Nancy Power, the township clerk. Whenever I or others that I know of have inquired of OPA requests, She's always been quick and efficient and explains any details that may need to be gotten along the way for acquiring OPA request documents and their such. So I want to thank Mrs. Powers for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, this will be the last regular meeting before the Independence Day holiday. So I'd like to take the opportunity to wish you all happy Independence Day. Remember, the 4th of July is a date on the calendar. It's Independence that we are celebrating. Remember that when you're going about. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Ms. Coyne?
East Coin Choose Laney Road. The College Drive rehabilitation project, the additional lots that they want to add, I understand the township owns 3 of those properties. Have those properties been appraised?
I wouldn't have that information on me. Mr. Lechner, unfortunately, is not here. His mother passed away yesterday. He'll be able to provide that information to us.
If you do have anything. I know Mr. Leckman's been working on it, he's been kept me advised, but I don't know if he has an appraisal amount to include that in that redevelopment zone.
Ms. Coyne, I can find that out for you, and I have your email. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Heimball?
Pete Highball, Morningstar Court. Some follow-up related to the budget amendments or tangential questions. Employee group insurance, that falls under the 2% cap. That's an example of something that falls under the 2% cap exception as an employee benefit. So anything, if I have this right, anything over a 2% increase in an employee benefit is an exception to the 2% cap, is allowed to be used as an exception to the 2% cap. Am I explaining that about right?
Well, I mean, so there's 2 caps. There's the tax levy cap, and then there's the appropriation cap. And you sent me an email earlier asking me, and I think my response to you was that that adjustment had no effect on the tax levy cap. It did, in fact, though, with the appropriation cap, it would have increased that amount back.
Yes, for this example, for this year's budget. But in general, I mean, the rule of the tax levy cap, 2% tax levy cap, is that any employee benefit that it increases by more than 2% is allowable to the cap.
Can't go by that because there, as you know, there are exemptions from the tax levy cap. And it's a workbook that's calculated. I don't have that calculation here before me, but when Christie Eric, the CFO, completed the tax levy cap workbook, it met the requirements for the 2% cap. Otherwise, the state wouldn't have given us permission to adopt.
Okay. But when you make that calculation, do you use the budgeted amount for example,
Yes.
so if later in the year you do a budget transfer, that doesn't, you don't retroactively now go back and change the.
No, because overall the budget is the same. You're moving it from another line item.
Right, but the cap, okay,
Would not affect the cap.
okay. Another question, a separate question now. I had a career as a financial professional and created a lot of budgets in my career. And I know as you do it, you generate a lot of work papers. You make estimates, make calculations and assumptions and look at last year's billings and expenditures and try to build a budget. So you end up with a whole big folder's worth of work papers out of that usually. Are budget work papers operable? They would be.
I tend to think, but I would say, to be exact, I want to see if there's been any recent rulings on that.
Right.
The initial reaction is that it probably would be.
Yeah.
To give it definitive, I would want to check that.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I guess my last question, also related to the agenda, but non-budget related, Resolution 205, which is where we did made a purchase from from Grand Turk Equipment. Grand Turk Equipment has been a pay-to-play donor in this township to all of you up here over the years, every year, each and every year over the years. Did anyone check that they were in compliance with donation rules and things like that to be able to execute a purchase order to the township to execute a purchase order with them?
First off, we went out for bid, public bid, and then.
That was the lowest bid that was received.
Right, and then that's part of the contract, what Nancy's saying, is the disclosure of pay to play.
Okay, so these are allowable pay-to-play donations. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Sweet?
Evening again, Council. Sam Sweet from Ariel. Question about liquor licenses. If the business is how are they handled? If a business is no longer in business, can they still hold a liquor license
Yes, they can. In pocket.
in pocket? Can they, if they want,
Maybe they're hedging to see, by holding it, to see who's interested in that particular license.
so they can transfer it, but does that have to be approved by council?
Council, and
Yes.
also ABC.
And us, we do a background on
It
it.
still has to go through the proper process.
Okay, I was curious. I noticed a couple of them, I think, were out of business, so just was curious. I'm going to apologize for this. I think this was already asked, but tax abatements in lieu of billing. I know we went through this before. That's if the tax bill is, let's just say, $20,000 for somebody, and they get an abatement of $10,000, they're going to give you a payment of $10,000. So that's a tax and abatement in lieu of billing, correct?
Okay, so an abatement is only on the improvement, it's not on the land, it's for new construction only. And what happens is the assessor does calculations and values the property, and then it's billed, I believe, 10% the first year, then 30, 50, 70, 90, and then 100.
Okay, well, I guess where I was going with this is you found 100,000, I shouldn't say found, you increased it from 1.9 million to 2 million?
We did.
But isn't that number set?
We were below the number that the assessor gave us.
Okay, well, why? Why wouldn't you go to
As I
the,
said earlier,
I wasn't here, so I apologize.
With any revenue line item, I would not encourage the mayor or the council to realize or to anticipate or budget. There seems to be some confusion when I say anticipate, because that's what we do in the budget. We anticipate a revenue line item. I would not take it up to what was realized the year before. I wouldn't do that for construction fees. I wouldn't do that for court fines. I wouldn't do that, because by doing that, then I'm putting pressure that we have to hit that number again. And sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes you come in less. Sometimes you come in more.
So
It's not an exact science. You're not going to come out to the exact number.
do you know what the exact number is right now? Or is there some play in that number right now or not?
I don't know, because I don't have the calculations with me that the assessor provided.
Okay, so potentially there could be, but maybe not. What you're saying is we're not up to, the $2 million is not up to the max number because you don't know if you're going to get 2.3
I don't
or.
believe it is, because again, like I said, I wouldn't take it all the way to the maximum amount. And you weren't here earlier, I said there is the possibility, and I know it's happened in some years, where all the payments that were billed were not paid. And if that happens by year end, then you have a fall off in that revenue.
Okay, and the 350, that's coming from the surplus.
That's correct.
So our surplus now is being reduced technically.
The amount of surplus that we had available is being reduced and used to offset the amount to be raised by taxation.
And what is the surplus right now? Do we know?
I don't have the total. I think it was around 3.7 to begin with.
So, okay, well, what is the advantage, I guess, of keeping that large surplus of 3.4 million?
We're not keeping it, we're using it.
Well, no, I know but you're reducing that surplus. Every year we have a surplus.
Level out taxes overall.
Well, you have to replace you have to at least replace what you had in the prior year budget. So in our case, we anticipated in surplus prior year $4 million. So we were not able to come up to the amount that we had budgeted in the prior year. So
Okay.
we're below that.
But
Ideally, I would prefer that we were able to budget at least what we budgeted the prior year.
all right, but a couple years ago, we had like a 5 million plus surplus, correct?
Surplus varies.
I understand that, but I guess where I'm going with that, you have this surplus that rolls forward every year to reduce taxes or hold the line, as Mr. Hutchinson said. So we have a surplus. We're using it going forward for this budget, but do we have any leftover surplus or no? Or
We have some, I don't know what that number would be, maybe it's 200,000 or 300,000. I don't have those exact numbers in front of me.
okay. And my last question, if I see I'm down to zero, but can I ask my last question? The property tax assessed rate, how did we come up with that? Or is that something you can email me later?
When you say the assessed,
The assessed rate, I believe, is $1.09 per 100.
you're talking about the rate itself,
Yes,
not the assessed value.
not the assessed value, no, the rate itself.
The rate is certified by the county tax administrator after the municipality submits their budget information to DCA, after the school board gets their budget approved, after the fire districts have their budgets approved, and after the county releases what their tax levy is. Everybody's giving to the county tax administrator is their amounts to be raised by taxation. It's a dollar amount. Then they calculate what the rates are based on the assessed value of the town. They then transmit back to us usually in late June. This time it's probably going to be later July, what the rates are, so that we can bill.
And is that
We can't bill until the state releases state aid, which in the past has been a problem and has held us up.
And that number, that calculation, is that something you can share with,
There's a sheet, a single sheet that comes from the county tax administrator.
and that won't be until July, so I can ask for it in July?
Or you can have last year's if you want to look at it.
Okay, that's it, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Now close the second part portion. Calling the directors.
Mr. Bradlemere?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Curtis?
Nothing to report.
Deputy Chief Harkins?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Chadwell?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Hutchison?
Enjoy the weekend and be safe.
Mr. Allens?
Thanks for coming out this weekend, tonight. I was at a AT&T store opening, the one on Blackwood Clementon Road, that brand new corridor. First store you see as you enter that corridor. One of many that had been improved upon and developed. So happy to see that. Join the Gloucester Township Police Department there. The GT Rec Department summer camp opened today. Went there, dropped my child off, and saw all the families that are utilizing our services here in Gloucester Township. So that was, obviously another service we are providing. Deputy Chief and our Public Works, just congratulations for all the quick storm response. Past couple of weeks, we've had some real heavy downpours, wind, trees down, and everywhere I looked, you guys in Public Works were right on top of it. So congrats and thank you as always. Don't forget the township, we offer discounted tickets for numerous theme parks all throughout, another service that this township provides our residents. To name a few, the Adventure Aquarium, Six Flags, Maury's Pier, the Zoo, Clementon Park, and on and on and on. They're all listed in the summer report that goes out to every single resident. Please keep using them. We have summer concerts as well. There's one tonight with Peyton Taylor, and we've got numerous movie nights as well Again, more opportunities we provide for our residents, so they stay in town, and we bring other residents into our town for these great services. And happy 4th to everyone, and be safe.
Mrs. Stubbs?
Thank you, everyone, for being here this evening.
Mr. Mignon?
Earlier tonight, ironically, Reverend McMurray had talked about keeping us safe. Well, today there was an incident in my town, in my development, and I want to send a special thanks out to the Gloucester Township Police Department, Lanes Terrace Fire Department, and AMR EMS for helping the residents of my township, of my development, keep safe. I want to wish good luck to all the little leagues that are starting their tournament and district play. Thank you all. Be safe.
Mrs. Estrada?
Thank you for coming out and have a good week.
Mr. Mahoney?
I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening. Mrs. Stubbs, it's nice to see you. You have been missed. And I want to send my condolences to, we had some losses personally, to people in our community here. The superintendent of schools lost his mother last Tuesday, Superintendent Bilodeau. His mother, 91 years of age, passed away. Mr. Lechner's mother passed away last evening. And Tracy Trotto's mother passed away last Monday. Alice, from the day I met her, was always very kind to me and my family. And my condolences to you. Lastly, I want to thank Councilman Mignon for his commitment to Field of Dreams program. He was tasked with that 2 years ago, and this is the 3rd season. They concluded it 2 Saturdays ago. And you have an abundance of players there, about 40 plus that are out there. And Mr. Mignon is out there every Saturday pitching, coaching, announcing, because I hear him outside my window when I'm not there. He goes across the street. But I want to thank you because you put your whole heart into this and you went full forward with it. You lead that organization with your volunteers, and I appreciate it on behalf of all the residents. So thank you very much. Thank you. With that, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You get ready, everyone.
Good for you, I'll make sure somebody over there.
Oh, yeah.